Thanks for tuning in to Tackling Tomfoolery. I'm Malika Rogers.
I'm Francie Moore.
And I'm Ann Lewis.
Yay, we made it to another Wednesday. How's everybody doing today?
I'm good. I did think it was Thursday yesterday. I don't know how. It was deeply problematic when I realized that, in fact, I don't know how. When I realized it was Tuesday, there was great sadness in my heart. But I made it.
Letdown.
It was. It really was.
Okay, my coworker today thought it was Thursday today. And so she was looking forward to Friday being tomorrow. So, you know, kind of made her day shit. I was like, well, hey, you made it over hump day. It's better than nothing.
It's a real heartache when those things happen. Was that Bonnie Tyler
really
song?
Is.
It's a heartache. It's a heartache. Damn it.
I do not know that song, but it is a heartache when you think you're further into the week than you are. Yeah,
I shall link it to the show.
You're gonna add it to the playlist.
That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
That's one way to do it. Why not?
True. That's right.
So we're gonna start with our highs and lows.
Checking out the fellas, the highs and lows.
Well, this wasn't exactly a low, but it was a source of irritation for me this week. So I saw it floating around the internet, and it was on Blavity. On this young woman wrote an article. Is California a sunken place for Black people?
I saw that.
Now, at first, I read the title and I thought, oh, that could be interesting. I don't know what exactly it's going to say, but okay. So someone posted it in a group I'm in and posted it saying, I totally agree. She's right. There are no lies told. And then I read it myself and I was like, this woman ain't doing nothing but lying. So anyway, I'm just going to read like the first little paragraph so that everyone can get an idea of the fuckery. Okay. I moved to California almost 2 years ago under the impression that I was moving to a bastion of Black excellence and culture. Turn on any modern Black series and film, and it's likely set against the LA cityscape with gorgeous Black leads who make six figures, own $1 million homes, and drive foreign cars with two-syllable names. Growing up to Afrocentric parents in the predominantly white city of Seattle, I learned to equate California, and specifically Oakland, with racial awakening, disruption, and forward thinking. Suffice to say, I had high hope for Black life when I moved here 2 years ago. So, she goes on from there talking about how disappointed she is and how the Black people aren't who she thought they'd be. And this is not a magical Black land with magical Black elves doing magical Black things. And it just isn't anything like what she saw on TV. And so clearly she's an idiot, because why did you think TV was going to
so serious?
Was going to be the thing that let you know how a place really is? Not I watched a bunch of documentaries, or I watched the local news in the city where I moved for 6 months before I came there, or I made several visits there to see for myself. TV shows. I watched TV and found out that life isn't exactly like TV. I mean, who write the whole ass article to say I'm grown and just figured out that real life isn't TV? How stupid are you? I mean, it's just dumb. Anyway, there was a response to her from a man who lives in Oakland. And I think it posted to HuffPost, and he had a lot to say to her where he says he was trying to be nice, and I'm sure he did the best he could in being nice, but he did dig in her ass, and it was great. And let's see, I think the highlight for me was she was talking about how she didn't see as many black people in the Bay as she thought she'd see. Wasn't the black ass place she thought it would be. And he said part of the reason you see fewer black folks is because people outside of our communities decide that Oakland or Compton is the up and coming place with the dope black culture, and then they move in. Real estate in its current form is pretty zero sum, meaning that for that person to move in, a black or brown person gets pushed out. They drove us out so folks from Seattle can move in, have some avocado toast, take a Snapchat at one of our rallies, and then discuss how we aren't black enough. All the gentrifiers ain't white either. Many of them look just like the people they're pushing out. They may have the melanin, but are lacking the homegrown culture that attracted them in the first place. So,
oh, yeah.
Right.
Somebody addressed her. Lots of people responded and addressed her, but I was appalled at how many people were like, what she's saying is totally true. And then my first thought was just, bitch, go back to Seattle. Go
that
back
was my
there
thought too.
and see
Y'all are
if you can
crowding us out
spread
and we're
your
going somewhere.
special brand of blackness there. Yeah. Ugh. So anyway.
Well, something I was very confused about was that she acted like she had never heard. I mean, there have been multiple documentaries, lots of articles about what's happening in the Bay Area in terms of housing and how the people who live there can't afford to live there. And there's a lot of, you know, that's been ongoing for the last decade. And so my question is, she was like me moving to Atlanta, basing it on having come for Freaknik, and I moved here in 2007. You know what I mean? Like, that's
yeah, it just didn't make, she made no sense to me. So I wouldn't, like I said, it's not like she altered my mood and had me just feeling like, oh gosh, like this review of this dumbass healthcare bill. It wasn't like that, but it did annoy me, and I didn't want to talk about it just because I thought it was stupid, but I did think it created some interesting conversation. So anyway, my high is actually so Kimmy Schmidt, the season started a few weeks ago, and I started watching day one, and then I got distracted by other stuff and stopped watching. So then I came back and finished off the last 2.5 episodes yesterday, I think it was. So my high this week was Titus and Ramadan. He's so ridiculous, so damn funny. His character's so over the top. He really is the show. It's not that the Kimmy character isn't fun. She's fun and she's funny and she's crazy too. But every moment with Titus to me makes the show. And actually, Titus Burgess just did an interview. He was on NPR a couple days ago, which is what reminded me to go back and finish the season. So anyway, that was my high, was the last couple of episodes. And mostly with watching him because he's a hoot.
A hoot.
And also, yeah, don't name your baby Linda. So anyway. Linda's not a name for a baby.
I haven't finished watching it.
I haven't finished either.
Yeah.
I think, well, you know, when you get to it, you won't regret it.
All right.
I didn't feel bad. I got distracted from it. But when I came back to it, it was a good time. So, Francie, what about you? Your highs and lows.
Yep. My high and my low are connected. So I'm just going to talk about them all at once. And I think I told you guys last week that I was going to see Roxane Gay. I was really excited about seeing her. And this book, you guys. Oh, so my favorite memoir for a very long time has been Drinking a Love Story. I feel like it speaks to the inner parts of me that, you know, like the secret, not the drinking part, but the rest of it, you know, other parts of it.
Is that Caroline Knapp?
Yes.
I cannot believe this. I love that book. You know, she died and I was heartbroken.
I know. Isn't it so good? And then
Side
I was going to say, sidebar, there's that other drunken memoir that came out that I read, and I was like, oh, you should just read Caroline now. But anyway, so I go to see, I've been following Roxanne on Twitter, and I just couldn't get a sense of who she was, because clearly this is a very difficult tour for her. The book is called Hunger. It's about her being overweight, something that I really didn't realize about her until I started getting ready to go see the book. So the low is really a result, I think, of how significant the book and the experience that I had was, and how it resonates with so many people. But she talked about how at all these interviews, and I had seen some of like the thing that happened with it, Mamma Mia or whatever. There have been multiple interviews where people have been just really insensitive about her weight. And when I was there, she said, yeah, so I was doing a radio show, and the person said, so someone really fat like you. And it's like, are people really I mean, like the terrible things that people are saying. And I just want to say, I have been hating on Terry Gross for so long, because she always acts surprised to find out mostly about racism. I'm like, Toni Morrison, do you really think people are still Black and people are racist? And it's like, yes, Terry. But when I listened to that interview, which I had not listened to last time we spoke, even she, well, I want to be sensitive. What word should I use to describe your body? And it's like, Terry, this is a pre-interview conversation. I feel something you could have hammered out with her people. And then her response was like, that works. And I loved it. Anyway, so the low is really having heard her talk about that, and having seen with my own eyes how difficult this is for her to talk about, and seeing people on Twitter, someone said, do you think this was really writing, or were you just navel gazing as if you could find your navel? Like crazy. Crazy. They tweet stuff like her that I had to stop. I had to just stop responding, because I was going ham. Like I was Roxanne, like, whatever. It was just crazy. So I was really depressed by that, because I think it spins out and is commentary on just how ugly and terrible people are. And I don't know if you've seen that Vince Staples interview where, he's just talking to Ebro, and he's like, look, I don't talk about people when, they're not around. It's just not what I do. And it's like, a lot of people should take on that philosophy of just keeping it about the art, or not getting ad hominem. And so thinking about how cruel people are willing to be, and watching it kind of unfold, especially after having gone to see her, and she's just, you guys, I feel like I'm sort of like the literary love child of like her, Pearl Clegg, and David Sedaris. Like if that person wrote, I feel like that would be me. And so I feel even closer to her, because I don't know, whatever. So I feel very tied to her, and she has a great voice. It's like super like smoky and serious. And she said that at one time, she wrote in the book at one time, she was a phone sex operator. I was like, dude, if I called phone sex lines, and if I called girls on phone sex lines, I would totally want to hear Roxanne Gay on the other end. She's awesome. So anyway, she was great. The event was great. I truly, truly enjoyed it. But people are jerks.
Yeah, I heard her interview with Terry Gross, and I've been somewhat off Terry Gross since her interview with
Regina King.
That she just vexed everything about my spirit, and I don't feel the same about her. However, she still has some people that I want to hear from, so I can't cut her out entirely. So I listened to that interview. Also, kind of thought the same things you thought, like, you really gonna ask her that all out in the public, Terry?
Right.
That's how you, okay. But I also thought the same thing about Roxanne Gay's voice. It's so luscious, kind of, and it's just, she has a beautiful voice, beautiful speaking voice. But I also really, listening to her story, which I knew just a little bit about, but listening to her talk in depth about, how she started overeating, and then talking about people's responses to her was just really impactful to me. I do plan to get the book. And as a side note, I did get David Sedaris' new book. If you don't have it, I suggest it.
It's really good, isn't it?
I love it. I love
Yeah.
him. Plus
I
his
love
art.
him. I was just about to say that. I love
Such
him.
an oddball. Yeah. Yeah, Roxane Gay. I'm envious that you got to see her. Yeah.
You know what my favorite thing was, and I'm sorry, I'm going to stop talking about her in a minute, but she has kind of a blunt manner that if you have ever known a Caribbean woman who is loving, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because she's very direct and very, to the point and concise. But there were, lots of survivors there. And one woman came up and she had her question on her phone and she just broke down. And I think because the line was kind of long, so probably between nerves and thinking about her question. And she said, do you want to bring your phone to me and I'll read the question and I'll answer it for you? And she had to get up and, there's the fat girl in me was like, oh no, don't have to get up and then don't let the mic drop, whatever. But I just thought it was super generous of spirit of her. And that seems to be who she really is. So I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
So your highs and lows?
Well, I don't have a low really for this week. There are things I could talk about, but really it's nothing that we don't find ourselves commenting on regularly. Stupid politics, black bodies, police brutality / injustice / bullshit, whatever. My high, I came across the Facebook highways and byways, and it's a video of Francesca Ramsey, or as she is known on the interwebs as Cheska Lee, and she is the host of MTV's Decoded, amongst other things. I think she was also on, what's the name show? Who got
Larry Wilmore.
Yes,
Larry
she was on a regular correspondent, I think, on Larry Wilmore's show. But it's just a very brief video, a little speech at VidCon. And of course, there'll be a link to this, but it's entitled, You Don't Always Need an Audience. And what she's talking about is kind of, really relevant to what you're saying about Roxane Gay's experience, Franzi. She's talking about the culture, and this, I believe VidCon was really primarily for YouTubers, but her message it crosses platforms. She's talking about the current culture of social media and how mean it is, and call out culture and clap back, and how someone says something that you don't agree with or whatever, and then you clap back and then you own them, and how we are so entrenched in that culture that necessary conversations that need to be had aren't being had. And she was talking about how she, I guess, had some kind of, I don't know, beef with some other YouTuber. And I guess they were going back and forth a little bit. Well, they were going back and forth a little bit, according to her. But she said finally they just went private with it, DM'd each other, and were able to kind of come to an understanding of sorts. And she was talking about how sometimes, like when you have followers, people that come to your page, instead of just letting it go there and being invested in the shutdown, the clapback, how it's good to sometimes have a conversation. Because if you are trying to put out information and trying to educate, especially, or enlighten, sometimes taking the opportunity to have those conversations will be worth it. Not always, she was clear. And she said, it won't get you clicks or followers, but, if you can come to an understanding with people, it's worth it. And I really liked it because there's such a negative spirit about so much that we do anymore. And not even just because of the current administration, but I just think, period, for her to make the point about kind of stepping back sometimes and not always wanting to be the one with the last word and the best word and the sharpest word and the shutdown was a good point to make. So, like I said, it'll be posted in the show notes. And I would recommend anybody who spends a lot of time online, check it out, because It's brief. It's like 5-6 minutes long, but it was a good word. I liked it.
I liked it too, and I liked it when she talked about how you start, and it's really just the ideological discussion, and then your followers get involved. And it reminded me of Drag Race when they're like, all of your followers are coming. I don't know if you guys watch Drag Race, but anyway, that was
a long time. But, yeah.
That was just a huge thing. And so it's relevant. And it reminded me of that. But yeah, I mean, I think people just blindly follow the person that they love. And so then they're getting in these online wars about things that they don't even really care about the topic.
Mm-hmm. I know there are certain online communities where some, the person will post something and I'll be like, man, but I don't say anything because to say something will mean all the other people coming for you and dragging you for all the filth. And like I said, it really prohibits a richer, deeper conversation and creates echo chambers, which I understand you don't want like the total opposite kind of, this is racism, blah, blah, blah. And it's just a white person who's angry because how dare black people talk about black shit. I understand you don't want that. But it would be nice to give room for differing opinions and be able to have that conversation rationally, Yeah,
I think too many people really live for the clapback. They wake up in the morning thinking about how they can shut somebody down or shame somebody or embarrass them or figure out some kind of witty, funny ass name to call them that everyone will laugh at and 300 people will like. I mean,
yeah.
It's not that I don't appreciate the occasional clapback when it's called for, because
sometimes it's called for.
Sometimes the shit is funny and it's, it is mandatory. But I just think some people are they exist in online spaces to be combative and not really to be interesting or helpful or solution based, but specifically to see who they can embarrass or how many people they can piss off in a day. There are definitely those people who it just feels like their entire existence is based on that. And I mean, I took a step back over the last week from Facebook in particular. I still looked at Twitter, still listened to some podcasts and all kinds of stuff. But I kind of backed up off Facebook and it was a very peaceful experience. I didn't leave it all together. I would just pop in, maybe if I needed to post something or if I needed to check something, I would do that. And then I'd just log out and live. And I found I had a much better week. It's not that I'm against Facebook. I just think that some of the people who I like on one hand and enjoy reading are also some of the same people who are those clapback kings and queens, and they live for that shit. And sometimes it's just too much for me. I also find that I scroll past a lot of stuff, a lot more stuff. The older I get, the quicker I am to pause, read something and say, no, thank you. And I just scroll because I don't, it's too much sometimes. It's just everybody being angry and mean instead of like helpful. I don't want it. And I just get tired. Hey, fellow tacklers. We thank you so much for listening to our show. If you're interested in supporting us, we would be ever so grateful. You can donate to the Tackling Tomfoolery podcast at patreon.com/Tackling Tomfoolery. So today we are again talking about unpopular opinions. We did a mini-sode with unpopular opinions while we were on hiatus. And it seemed to be one of our more popular topics. And so we're going to revisit it. And this time we can talk about it a little more than we did the first time. Francie, I'm going to start with you, ma'am. What is the first one you want to talk about?
Okay, so here's my. So I don't always know what's popular and unpopular, but I'm going to start off with this one, and that is, if I had to choose, not that anyone has required me to make such a choice, but if I had to choose between Channing Tatum and John Cena, I'm choosing John Cena. And Channing can dance, and I know people are in love with Channing Tatum, and it's cool. Like he can dance. And listen, if he's dancing a pony, I'm there. But, his face is a little bit starting to go Brian Big Night Marshmallow, or, mashed potato rather. And John, who, was at a disadvantage from the beginning, is sort of like turning into kind of like a granite sort of like, I don't know, brawny sort of looking person. And truly that's not why. I mean, I do love his body, but like I watched Grit. I don't know if anybody else in the whole world watches this, but I watched Grit with him, and I feel like he's just really compassionate, and he's got these like stern kind of judgment that he gives, and I feel like he's a person of depth. And they're both okay with me politically, but like that little Patriot commercial that John did, I don't know if you, for the ad council, I think it was, made me love him all the more. So like, I'm choosing John Cena.
I love that this is your unpopular opinion.
Well, listen.
I like him. I like John Cena. I actually might be on the same page. I'm not as familiar with him as you are, but I really liked him in Trainwreck. I thought he was hilarious.
He was funny on there.
Yeah, because it was kind of against type, right? Like you had this big old burly dude, and he's all, "You didn't be my girlfriend." He just was, all kind of marshmallowy on the inside, which was adorable. Yeah, I do like Channing Tatum, but whatever.
Neither one of them, or I don't know. I don't really think about either of them, but I do like John Cena. Channing Tatum, I guess I don't know. Oh.
I'll tell you what.
Don't think about him.
I didn't really love him dancing to Pony in whatchamacallit. I don't know what it was about it. He was kind of spastic to me, more spazzy than sexy, his gyrations. I mean, I saw it and I just was kind of looking at it with my mouth open like, what?
Wait, in one or two? In Magic Mike 1 or 2?
In 1. I haven't bothered with 2.
Girl, listen, let me just tell you right now.
I'm just
2, if you have to see 1, 2 is the one. And when he does it on the drafts table, girl, listen, it's the real thing.
I'm just saying, Pony. There were other scenes in Magic Mike that I was okay with regarding Mr. Tatum. Okay. But Pony was not one of them. And I can't gain myself to see 2 because I feel like my TV screen is still oily from 1 and not in a bad way.
No, but I will just say this. If you could sit through 1, 2 just makes so much more sense. Like it's a much better, as a movie, it's much better. And plus it's got Joe in it and Joe is doing big things. I'm gross.
I love him.
Whatever.
Come on now.
Well, I saw 2 really against my will and didn't see 1 at all because I didn't want to see either. And I wasn't interested and I didn't give a shit. And I watched it and I still didn't give a shit. But 2 wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. But I kind of still would like my time back. That didn't do anything for me. But I did appreciate Twitch. I did. I appreciated him. But I appreciated him before I saw Magic Mike. But I just no to those movies for me. No. Me and male strippers, I just don't get it.
I don't like
not a fan. Joe is beautiful, of course, but that still wasn't enough to make me be excited or like that movie.
Super.
Yes, he
Joe,
is.
For the people, we're referring to Joe, I think it's Manganiello from True Blood, and who's married to Sofia Vergara, and whose herring singes my eyes with its gorgeousness. Hot dang.
They are pretty.
Woo, it's a lot of pretty together. I follow one of them on Instagram, And God dang, whenever even like she's got on no makeup, they're on vacation, no makeup and like a swimsuit cover up and whatever. And they're looking all in. It's just a lot of pretty happening with the both of them. A lot of pretty, perfectly bodied gorgeousness.
And don't forget the hair. The hair is good too.
They both have good hair.
They do.
They have some great hair. That's true.
Man.
I hadn't considered that. You are right. They do have great hair.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
They do.
So, AM, you have a little unpopular something?
Gonna feel like a crotchety heartbeat because I'm not talking about.
Oh, no.
Would you do? What? I'm gonna say it, but you know. So my unpopular opinion is about children. I have a lot of unpopular opinions about the children, not about the children, but about the raisings of children these days. But this one regards graduations. Every graduation season, my feed fills up with the children and the graduating, which is beautiful. Except now, everybody graduates for everything. You know, there's preschool graduation, there's kindergarten graduation. I want to say there's elementary school graduation, middle school graduation, and then there's high school graduation. Listen, it's cool when the babies are progressing in their education. That's a beautiful thing. But to me, if by the time your child has his or her first significant graduation, which is high school, it's old to a degree.
Right.
You've already worn I don't know how many caps and gowns. You've already marched to I don't know how many pomps and circumstances, although I don't necessarily know if they do that on the, you know, baby level. But I am a fan of ceremonies and ceremonies having meaning, you know. And for me, I remember very clearly graduating. I'd never done it. No, I lie. I'd done it in junior high, 9th grade graduation. No caps and gowns though, but a little ceremony that I didn't care about then because it wasn't a thing. I feel like there's a way where we diminish large accomplishments for the sake of making each accomplishment along the way something. I don't know I frankly am okay with, you know how it used to be on the bottom of your report card, such and such has promoted to the 4th grade. You know, I don't know that we necessarily need to go that far back, but I would be okay if I was raising kids. I just know that this whole making a thing out of all the things, to me, takes away from real things. That is my unpopular. I know parents raising kids now are probably like clutching their pearls and shaking their young parent fists at me. But I really feel very strongly about that. I feel like it's way too much. And we are robbing kids of a really, really cool primary fundamental experience. That is the thing.
Well, I did mention my dislike for 1300 ceremonies a couple weeks ago when I think one of my highs was seeing all the graduation pictures, and I thought it was cool. But I also mentioned that I do not understand the official graduation ceremonies. I think promotional ceremonies are fine, and I think they're cute. We had 8th grade promotion. It was not a cap and a gown and all of that. It was just you got a little piece of paper that said you made it out of junior high school. Same thing with 6th grade. We went outside and played in the water. We had water balloon fights and slip and slides and all that stuff. We ate a bunch of junk food. We got a piece of paper that said we made it out of the 6th grade. And then we moved on. And I think that's enough, right? I do not understand the purpose of them. And I do think it's overkill, I guess. I think it should be acknowledged, but to celebrate it to such an extent as if it is a, 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, whatever accomplishment is strange to me. I don't get it. Like I saw one post for a baby getting out of pre-K. He did it. And I was like, he did what? Like, he can cut paper and color? Okay. I mean, I don't know how excited am I supposed to be about this? It's cute that he's moving to kindergarten, but other than that, I don't know what I'm supposed to. Why is there cap and gown? I don't get it. But anyway, I'm with you on that. I do not. I just think to me, it's overkill.
Yep, that and promposals. I'm not for it.
Oh,
I'm absolutely not for any of that for
um,
similar reasons.
So, first little unpopular opinion I want to talk about. A lot of well, I'll just say, I don't think there's a difference between marriage and long-term committed relationship besides legal protection and privilege. I do not think I see a bunch of conversations. I've seen memes. I've been involved in long discussions online and in person. And as a person who was raised in church, I had it hammered into me that, mostly it's wives. Wives are not the same as girlfriends. And don't do wife stuff for your man, because then why would he marry you? Because you've done all the wife stuff already when you're a girlfriend, and you're supposed to save the wife stuff for later, whatever the hell that means. And I just do not believe in wife stuff and girlfriend stuff. And the relationship was on one level, and now that the people are married, it has been elevated 7 more levels just because of a ceremony and a legal certification of some sort. I don't believe that. I think, and it's not that I minimize marriage. I think marriage is fine if that's what people choose. It is good for them. I enjoy weddings, and I like to see people happy in their marriages. That's fantastic. But I don't see the validity of it as any different from a relationship two people have that they are fully committed to. If people get married, in my mind, before I'd marry anybody, I'm already where I'm supposed to be with that person. I'm already committed. I'm already partnered. I've already got skin in the game. The marriage to me is just, okay, let's find a way to protect one another legally in this partnership we have and in this love we have for each other. That's all it is to me. I had somebody recently say about me, well, she's just his girlfriend. It's not like she's his wife. It's different. But it's not different for him, and it certainly isn't different from me. And there's no way I'd even think to myself, well, we should hurry up and get married so I can start treating you well. Why am I not already doing that? If I don't want to do that, then I wouldn't be with you. Or well, we better hurry up and get married so I can start, I don't know what, cooking. I don't know what these wife things are that people say women should save for a marriage, but I just don't believe what makes a relationship valid is a marriage certificate. I believe it's what's in those people's hearts, what's in their heads, what's in the way they treat each other, the way they connect to each other, the way they work to for the greater good of one another. That's the way I see it. It's not, oh, we're married, and so suddenly now we are valid now because we're married, and now we can all start acting a certain way toward each other. Why weren't you already doing that? So I've said it. People have literally gotten mad at me for saying that. And that's fine. I don't care. I'm not going to change what I think. I think mostly people who think it validates something, are mostly basing it in their religious belief, which that's fine, but it's not that for me. And I'm not going to accept anybody treating me disrespectfully because, well, you're not a wife. I don't. That's crazy to me.
I think for me, there's a difference between a committed relationship and a marriage, but that is personal, and it does not mean that I feel like I need to hold back certain things because they're quote unquote wifely, and it doesn't mean that no other it doesn't mean that marriage is paramount. I frankly don't know if I want to get married again, but I would like to have a committed relationship. The I don't know what, like, I cannot give you tangibles about what the difference is. I just know that from my experience, having lived with my second husband for, I believe, 5 years and then getting married, there was some kind of difference, some kind of shift, kind of. And I don't know that that was within me or within him or kind of us sort of together, like, okay, now it's really cemented and MFs can't get out without the people getting involved. I don't know. But again, the things that you're talking about how someone should be diminished because they're a girlfriend and not a wife, or a partner, but not a wife, you don't have that MRS in front of your name. Somehow you're several rungs down the ladder and
right.
In relationship terms, I do not subscribe to any of that nonsense at all.
It's really interesting. I think for me and the way that I view relationships now, I think the differentiation that I would be making would be dating and committed. And I think that's what we used to call girlfriend and wife, but I think that has changed significantly over the last couple of years.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't think a relationship is, if I just met somebody and we've been dating casually for 6 weeks, of course, I do not look at that the same as a committed relationship. I do think there's a difference there for sure. But people who have been together for whatever X amount of time, live in the same house, especially working toward the same goals, whatever, that type of thing. That to me is not less than people who are doing the same thing but are legally married.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. But it's not the same as if you were kicking it either. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Because it's a different level of, well, I wouldn't even say a different level of commitment because it's not necessarily a commitment. Or maybe my commitment is, I'm committed to us kicking it. That's it.
Right.
We're not like building a life. We're chilling. And that's different.
And we may even have been doing this for quite a while and being in this, have kind of an established group, like, okay, on, Tuesdays is our day and that's the day that we kick it. But that's very different. I could still get a job in Wisconsin and decide to go there and say, all right, then.
Right. Right. You don't have to take him into consideration, have the conversation.
Exactly.
None of it. Take that job, pack up your shit, chunk the deuces and be gone. Yeah.
And maybe get a ride to the airport from him.
Right.
Probably. I feel like a ride would be appropriate and not an Uber,
Right, exactly. I mean, after all, we have been kicking
for all the times we've voted before. Yep.
Okay. That is right. I was going to say something much more crude before I realized that we were recording. I was reminded myself.
Sometimes crude is good.
Sometimes, but listen. Not quite
Bacon
that.
is good. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Pork is good.
So, Frenzy, you got another one?
Sure. I mean,
Another
listen,
one.
I could do this all day. Okay. I'm gonna go with this. Commercials in which parents accept their children's misbehavior as just sort of a natural function of childhood sort of make me want to slap everyone involved. Now, I'm not saying, it's not like old school where I'm like, beat the brakes off of those kids. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that those commercials, like that Subaru commercials where the kids wash the car with the window open, and then there's like that Downy commercial right now where the little boy's like, I'm helping mommy. And, he's helping with the chores, but when he helps with the trash, he spills there's trash leaking all the trash juice leaking all over the floor. And, and then there's one that is really crazy for PayPal where the guy's coming in, the little baby has crayon markings all over the wall and he's deciding not to use debit. He's going to use credit because it's going to take a lot of money for somebody to come clean this up. I do not think this is cute. Like this does not make me want to support any of these businesses. And my next car is going to be a Subaru, but I'm so not into it because, well, and let me just say, I come from a place where I will never forget. We were driving in the car. I told my sister to hold the Blizzard. It's the first Blizzard we'd ever had because my parents didn't take us out, and we were on vacation where Daddy bought everything. And I told my sister to hold the Blizzard. She's like, "Oh, it'll stand up by itself." Well, as soon as she says it, the car turns. Blizzard spills all over the back of the seat. And we have got to shorten our day, check into a motel so that we can clean up the car because we're all like wet and sticky and gross. My mom wheels her luggage. This was when wheeled luggage was first coming out and we called it walking the dog. So she walks the dog into the hotel room. She went in there and watched Give Me a Break while we were outside cleaning up the back seat. Now, admittedly, my father didn't help me, but my point is...
I'm so weak at the mental of the visual of your mom chilling on the hotel bed, watching Noel Carter and Joey Lawrence and them on Give Me a Break. That has me weak.
We could see her through the window, AM. So, and every now and again, she would wave like it was a commercial. She'd wave out, right?
Oh my gosh! Oh god, that is hilarious. Oh gosh.
But the real point is, and I'm not saying it's unforgivable when your kids do crazy stuff. I had some god kids that did some things, but you know what happened? We cleaned, and people laugh at me all the time. But when my god kids were little, we were driving in the car, and their mother decided, for some reason, one of them had bologna, and I put him in the car seat. I did not know he was eating bologna. He got bologna all over my window. He was probably 3 years old, and I want you to know that when we got to my house, I brought out the Windex wipe so he could wipe up that window because in Auntie Francie's car, we do not put bologna hands on the window or any kind of hands on the window.
Right.
Your toys.
Right.
So,
bologna hands. Oh God, why? Okay, I'm sorry. Guys,
no, my eye are spent, but I just don't understand. Like, it's not cute to me. I don't like it. It doesn't help sell. And I guess there are people all over who are like, oh, it's so cute when little so-and-so does this crazy thing that's going to cost. No, granted, that little 2-year-old cannot clean up all that crayon by herself, but you can sure try because you clearly did not get tired when you're coloring. So you can certainly learn to use that Mr. Clean magic eraser and get to business.
Oh, I loved every bit of that. That was amazing. I dug it.
I support you. I support you in this, friend. It's not cute.
Yes, it is not.
It is not funny.
Can I just say, as an accompaniment, Malika, did you see Kinfolk Collections thread about how you allow your kids to be free or whatever? She asked the question.
I did not.
So, like, if you're raising, I really need you to. Oh, Jesus! I need you to check it out. So, listen, I already said I'm an ashy parent in terms of new whatever. My parenting perspective is not modern, particularly. There was so much in that. I let my kids curse. I let them do what's really important that a lot of it I could get with now. I don't make them share. I don't make them hug stranger. Okay, good.
Yeah. With it.
I don't make little colostomy go to bed at a certain hour. I let them determine themselves and self-regulate and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just imagining this army of just ill-behaved children of all of these people. And right now I would pull it up, but I think it'd take me a minute. But I can't think of some of the examples that really just had me like, oh my gosh. But yeah, this kind of free-range child raising is what I'm going to call it.
Well, you know,
I can't. I can't.
I have.
Isn't that why you're there?
What?
Right.
Isn't that why you're there? That's why children need adults to make them so that they can be guided. And listen, I'm not talking about the stuff our parents used to do where they're like, you have to blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about that. I didn't really have that kind of, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what time to go to bed. My sister needed 9 hours of sleep, but she was afraid to miss anything. So she would have raccoon eyes standing outside of her door trying to hear what other people were talking about if someone had let her go to bed on her own.
Also me, nosy as hell, but needed sleep. Yeah, that was me as a kid. Very much
Sorry,
so.
Malika.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's fine. I don't know. I think my ideas about parenting are probably somewhere in the middle, where there are some traditional ideas I maintain, but then there are also a lot of newer ideas which I also subscribe. But none of those ideas involve a kid just self-regulating in every way. No. Because you don't know what you're doing because you're 5.
Right.
I don't know why would I just have you out here just whatevering when you're technically a baby? You don't know. Hell, I'm grown and I barely know. So I know you don't. So how am I not providing some kind of parameters, even if I give you some broad ones to let you develop and figure out some things on your own? There's still going to be some parameters there.
Right.
You don't run nothing in here. I mean, come on. I'll let you make choices. Like, do you want the chicken or the fish? Maybe.
Nope. I let them pick what they want to eat.
No. If I let you pick, you picking between these two things. If I feel generous,
or you want a breast,
right?
Basically,
or maybe I don't know what I'm going to make, and it might fall between hot dogs and chicken sandwiches, and I might ask you, do you want the chicken or the hot dog? But that's it. It's not going to get much better than that with me. But
I think it's important to feel their feelings, and I think it's important to let them express themselves. But I think needs to happen in a way that is appropriate for a kid.
Yeah,
You're not going to curse at me. You're not going to come at me crazy. You're not going to come at just a basic adult crazy. But I would want my kid to be, and I did, instill them with kind of the understanding of when you need to stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? There are things that are really important that in raising a kid that are very different, I think, from the way that I was raised. But I'm talking some really broad type stuff that I don't know, man. Sorry, Frank. I didn't mean to hijack the whole unpopular thing, but I felt like there's a connection between what you were saying and this thread that I read. I don't know if it's clear.
No, I totally get that. I'm all the way. I was done, and I'm all the way there because I think, yes, kids need order, but they also need to learn how to live. And so, like, I know in my house, and listen, my mom was a super control freak, so I'm not saying everything she did was exactly perfect, but I know in my house, we could say, my favorite thing was to, after I had performed the task that she asked me to do, to make sure she knew that wasn't actually my mess. She didn't care about it, but you couldn't even have the discussion until the work was done. So it's like you wouldn't even broach it, but it's like, well, mommy, I just want you to know. And her thing was like, is it picked up? Okay, well, thank you for telling me. Or Candace used to wait until her friends were going to say, well, mommy, I just want to let you know that you said that she lived at 1719, but she really lives at 1917. And I didn't interrupt you because I know I'm not supposed to, but I want you to know that that's true. And you said it happened on July 5th, but it really happened on July 3rd. Like, that was my sister, like, getting it all right. But I mean, that's a dumb example, but I just mean she didn't mind us sharing, those things, or even saying, I don't think this is right. And she would, we could talk about why it wasn't right, but it wasn't nobody in my house was going to fight. Like, I remember once she came home and she's like, have you ever thought about what it would be like if you came in here and punched me in the face? And so I was like, oh my God, I never even thought that. What are you talking about? Whatever. Listen, I'm Twitter pated now thinking about what it would be like if I went and punched my mom in the face.
Man, come on.
Well, you wouldn't be on this podcast. I know that.
Right.
Correct. Amen.
We once had
or
a friend
actually, I
named
should have just left
Frenzy.
it at. I should have left it at you wouldn't be.
That's right.
That is the truth I ever heard. God dang.
My mom used to say, my mom used to tell Candace that if she got pregnant, she said, I won't kill you, but you'll wish you were dead.
See?
Oh God. I
That
don't
ain't
want
the fear
any
put into
of
you.
that.
Nope.
Well,
no God.
I was going to get into an unpopular opinion that would probably lead to a really long discussion. So I'm going to save that for another time. And I'm just going to use one right quick that, look, if you are like, I don't even care how old you are, but if you are at a point in your life where you live in your own space, it is filled with all your own stuff that you need in that space. And you have your own whatever, you got your own job, you got all your own shit that grown people have, and you are getting married. Do not send me a wedding invitation with a registry in it. I don't need to buy you shit. I'm not going to buy you these $300 bath towels just because you want to get fancy on my dime because you're getting married. Wow. Bitch, what you been washing with? Keep using that. I just feel like wedding registries are for people who are 12. You are super young. Maybe you've never even had your own place yet, moving from your parents' house, or maybe you got a roommate or 50 billion roommate and you're moving out of there into this space with your new spouse or whatever, and you all legitimately need a whatever it is. But when you are 35, I am not buying your ass no panini press. If you didn't have that shit before, you don't need it now. You ain't been eating paninis. I just feel like there's a cutoff at some point. I have experience where people said, listen, we too old for the gifts. And a lot of people already live together anyway. They're like, we have stuff, but donate to one of these charities in our name for our wedding. That's a cool thing for me. I went to a wedding where it was, hey, we don't need any stuff, but if you'd like to contribute to our already booked and paid for honeymoon, if you want to put some spending money or something on it, you can. This is the information for our travel agent, and you can send it there if you like. And if you don't, that's cool too. I didn't mind that. That's fine. I don't mind people having no registry, but they got a money dance or a money tree. That's fine with me. I don't mind hanging some money on this little tree for you or pinning something to your dress or your lapel. No problem. But don't you come to me when you are 857 years old talking about where you're registered. Get out of here. You're too old to be registering. Stop it. You trying to make me buy you a toaster because it costs you $25 a head to feed us. That wasn't my choice to make. You made that choice. You don't need a a toaster or an iron. What have you been getting the wrinkles out with? What have you been doing? It irritates me. I just wedding registries for old people is just it's too much. It's too much.
What's
Anyway.
old?
I like registers.
Well, when I say old, I just mean in terms of already having all those things. And like I said, you might be that and be 25, and you might be that 45. You know, it just depends. But I know a lot of people who maybe by 25 they already have purchased a home and they had a housewarming party, which that's great. I'm all for, you know, supporting that and bringing you something for your new spot because you're probably poor because you just bought a house. That's fine.
Right.
But if you get married 2 years later, don't ask me for some bed sheets. Nope. What have you been rolling around on? Keep doing that. No, I'm not buying your ass no new sheets just because you got married. Why?
Well, listen, when I get married, I'm going to sign up for a registry, but I'm not getting married.
I was gonna say, you're gonna get married. Nobody's thinking about your faux wedding gifts for the wedding that you're not going to have.
I'm going to marry myself like Carrie.
Like Carrie? Well,
yes.
I guess you're going to register for shoes. It'll be me and about, I don't know how many. I'll pitch in with some of your other friends because I don't have no $400 and something shoes for your Manolo Blahnik registry or Jimmy Choo.
I need you to be thinking positive. Put it into the universe now. So when it comes, you'll be ready to bless me.
Speak life to it. All right, then.
Amen.
All right.
Shando.
All
right. Sam, did you have one last
I do.
Unpopular or something?
Of course I do. Of course. It's a little weighty, and again, I feel like it's me being some version of ashy, but it's the truth. I'm gonna say it. I have heard it said that when cisgendered people are not attracted to or don't want to date, engage in the sexual shenanigans with trans people, that is transphobic.
Oh my God.
And I disagree with that. It's a real thing and I disagree with it. And maybe I will admit it's a matter of education for me. But I feel like listen, if you're, trans people, that's fine. That's fine. I don't argue the validity of, being a trans man or a trans woman or really feeling like you were born in the wrong body and wanting your body on the outside to match who you are on the inside. Totally cool with all that. But if I, as a woman, want to date a man and I want to have sex with a man, and really what's really an integral part of sex with a man to me is penetration. Lord, is penetration. It's penetration. A trans man's not going to be able to do that for me. And I therefore am uninterested. Period. Like you literally don't have the shit that I want. I am uninterested. And I have seen, not in real life, but of course online, some, photos of some really striking trans men, really attractive men. But if we can't make the magic happen, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to? I don't know, man. And I'm speaking from a female perspective. I don't know what it'd be like for a man who to date like a totally transitioned male to female with the vag and everything. I don't know. I can't speak to that part of it. I am speaking solely for myself and what I need and what happens with female to male trans.
But I feel like you might date a man who had erectile dysfunction, right? Or a man who had a condition, that may.
Who?
Do you feel like you would not date a man who had erectile?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, really, I guess what I'm trying to say is, or if you were dating someone who started experiencing erectile dysfunction, it wouldn't necessarily be the reason that you broke up. That's really what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that it's transphobic. I'm not arguing you. I just think that What'd you say?
It depends on where we are in the relationship. If it's a real relationship, no, I'm not going to break up with someone because they start having the problems. No.
And so I think that something that needs to be plumbed, and we don't have time to do it now, is really if what I want from a man has to do with a penis that he's always had, irrespective of its condition, is that transphobic? I mean, I feel like that's essentially the question. And I'm not saying I have an answer because I think I feel like it's not just about the fact that you know, whatever, are not equipped in that way. I mean, I feel like there's another factor, and it's not necessarily even an ick factor. It's just the, you know, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like there are qualities of men. I definitely would count a trans man as a man. But just like there are, you know, men, it would be really hard for me to start a relationship with some men with certain physical characteristics. I feel like that might just be a physical characteristic that would not be one that would make it easy for us to start a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, in thinking about it, I first of all was thinking just physically, like, because I have seen attractive trans men and, you know, thought, God dang, he's fine. So let's say all things being equal, he has the things that I like, right? Aesthetically, like his personality, his character, blah, 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 blah. I feel like I would be open. Now, I am a big believer in not knowing what you can't 100% say until you're in a situation. But I'd like to think I'd be open to it at least. It wouldn't be an automatic like, except you don't have a penis. Problematic for me. It is probably going into it. Would I date someone with erectile dysfunction right now, Francie? Someone who actually could not have sex? A man? I don't think so. I'm not ready to retire. I don't want it. I'm not ready to have workarounds either for the rest of my life. I don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, not that you would have to not have sex, but yeah, I get it.
I said workarounds. That's a workaround.
No. I know.
Yeah, penis is workaround. Okay, let me calm down. I was being dramatic.
I don't understand the ideology of just automatically declaring that disinterest as
it's
transphobic. Yeah, I don't. I think that's such a sweeping idea. I don't. I'm sure for some people it is that, but it isn't that for everyone. I don't think. I mean, the way you are describing, what you're ultimately describing is your sexual preference, not anything against someone's trans status. I like dick that grew out of body or whatever. That's what I like when I have sex. So it's not, I don't like because you're trans. I happen to like penises, functioning ones. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's not transphobic. I don't really understand the ideas behind that. I'd have to talk to some people who believe that and get into their heads, because I'm very curious how that can just be the across the board response. You're transphobic, the end. Yeah. You know, as if anyone's obligated to be attracted to anybody. You know, I mean, why would one have to?
Yeah.
But I think that's why
I'm sorry, friends.
No, go ahead, damn.
No, I was just going to reiterate. I am certainly open to the strong possibility that I lack education in some aspect. You know, knowledge, a conversation, an in-depth conversation with someone who strongly believes that, to kind of understand all of the nuances involved, because I'm looking at it really kind of from a very superficial, like very surface way, I think, possibly. So, I mean, having a conversation and getting some education from someone in that community might change my mind. It might not. I don't know.
I mean, I really feel like I feel like I understand it as a position, and I feel like transphobic might be an excited way to talk about it. But I get it, because really what you're saying is, in order to be a man, you have to have a naturally occurring penis. And there are many trans men who do not have a penis, period. And you're discriminating against them as part of your pool because you say that you're attracted to men. And these men are men. So I understand it. I just don't. I have to reevaluate. I'm kind of like I am, where I'm like,
Yeah. More thought is needed, I suppose.
Well, I think we've confirmed that, we have some super unpopular opinions. And yeah, all right. I wonder how many people might end up mad. But anyway, so let's get into our shout out. I talked about at the top of the show my that article regarding the woman being devastated and thinking California is a sunken place. And related to that and the discussion of gentrification, I was listening to NPR like I pretty much do every day. And I believe this was yesterday I was listening, and they talked about a neighborhood in LA called Boyle Heights, Boyle Heights. And there's some, low level so far gentrification taking place there, where there are a lot of art galleries, and it's really kind of a industrial area, and then there are houses. So some little art galleries, hipster type spots have moved in there, and the residents are not having it. They are standing in front of the little coffee shop with signs like "Get out of here," and they're down at the art gallery, and they like, "Leave us! Don't come over here, making it so nobody can afford to live here anymore because you with your fancy coffee and your fancy art pieces." And I just want to shout out the little neighborhood group of Boyle Heights, because I respect what they're doing. I understand they're trying to protect what they have and keep it so people can actually live there, so they're not all suddenly priced out of where they've been for however many years. So anyway, shout out to the little guy.
Word.
Yay, little guy.
AM, do you have a shout out?
I do. It's related to the unrequited love of my life, Kofi. First of all, shout outs to his Instagram page, which I just started following. I don't know why it took me so long, and it really enriched my whole entire life. But there's also this chick who she posted a picture of him and wrote the most hilarious caption, which I won't read because we don't have time, but she's just kind of talking to God about how he made Kofi. And she was like, how much shea butter did you use? How many times you play India Ari brown skin while he was baking? It is hilarious. But yeah, man, that Instagram, if you're not following him, whoever's listening, and you think he's as beautifulous as I do, you'll need to find that IG, because it's life and he's beautiful. The end. That's all.
Well, my shout out is for MASK, which is Mothers or Men Against Senseless Killing. It's the group in Inglewood in Chicago that just kind of posts up on the corner and hugs the people and feeds them and everything. And I've known about them, I think since, what's that movie called? The Interceptors, Interloper, whatever the movie is about people who are trying to reverse.
Interrupters, I think it
Interrupters,
is.
thank you.
Yeah.
I like how you come through in the clutch. Thank you. Anyway, my shout out is to them because they have a schedule up, and I feel like I'm always asking you guys for money, but they have a schedule up and you can donate. Obviously, if you're not in Chicago, you can't take them food, but every whatever, they have a schedule for when they supply meals out on the corner and they need help. And so I'm going to put the links in. But I just want to say, way to go hugging and feeding people. I could use somebody in my life to hug me and feed me. So I'm all for it.
That sounds wonderful. Word. I like it.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Tackling Tomfoolery. I am Malika Rogers.
I'm Francie Moore.
And I'm A.M. Lewis.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios. And we out of here.
Tackling Tomfoolery is produced by Bren Inman for Evergreen Talent Collective. For more information, find us on the web at www.tacklingtomfoolery.com, on Facebook at Tackling Tomfoolery, and on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, and make sure you rate and review the show, as that helps people find us. If you'd like to contact the show, email us at tacklingtomfoolery@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 916-573-1065. Let us know what tomfoolery you're tackling. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.